head against the wall for years, or maybe even decades, because you simply could not find a real solution for your yeast overgrowth, a solution that could get you lasting freedom from Candida infections. My story began in my late teens. When most of my peers were experiencing optimal health, I began a downward spiral that would last for more than a decade. It all began innocently enough one winter, with a sinus infection that I couldn't shake off, followed by a vaginal yeast infection. Then infections continued to return. My doctor began treating me with rounds of antibiotics, each set stronger than the last. They would work only for a few weeks, though, and then I'd be back to square one. This went on for months without my doctor showing much concern. "You're just more susceptible to colds and viruses than most people," he'd say, giving me yet another prescription. "No need to worry." With spring knocking at the door, my doctor switched gears, prescribing allergy medication to help clear my head and nasal passageways. My initial symptoms were slowly improving, but I still wasn't feeling like, well, me. To be honest, it was hard to pinpoint exactly what was wrong. I wasn't really sick, but I wasn't really well either. I had listlessness, fatigue, brain fog, stomach ailments, unexplained rashes, skin infections, and so on. It seemed like every day brought a new challenge. My energy was sapped, and I felt exhausted, which affected my grades and put a big dent in my social life. The summer months brought a bit of a reprieve, but that was short-lived. By Christmas, I was again experiencing a repeat of the previous winter, only now I had a gruesome new symptom to add to my litany of complaints: chronic and, yes, flaming yeast infections. If you've ever had a severe yeast infection, you know just how awful they can be. First, the symptoms include unending itching and burning, followed by an embarrassing and sometimes odor-filled discharge. Not a pleasant experience for a young woman, to be sure, but when infections seem to crop up almost as regularly as your menstrual period, it can become downright torturous. On top of these were repeated infections of other types. I always seemed to have a cold, a headache, bronchitis, or some other physical ailment. The people around me began to wonder if I was either a hypochondriac or sicker than I was letting on. I was beginning to wonder the same. I knew that I wasn't making up symptoms, so I began to fear that I had some horrible disease causing all of my problems. I began visiting every type of doctor I